there were times when I was enjoying Speed Zone, and there were times when I wasn't really that bothered. I was never necessarily bored, but certainly my interest kind of ebbed and flowed a bit. This was released in 1989. It's directed by Jim Drake. It's written by Michael Shorten. We have a cast including Peter Boyle and John Candy. It's because of Peter Boyle that I became aware of this and decided to watch it. I also really like John Candy. The concept didn't sound like it would appeal to me, but actually the narrative itself was not too bad. I will say before I go any further that this is actually the third film in the Cannonball Run trilogy, which, obviously based on the name, I didn't know until I started watching it. I haven't seen the previous two, but from what I can tell, I don't need to have. The cast is different. I was able to follow this absolutely fine, so I don't think I need to have seen the previous two to follow this, but I am willing to admit that maybe there were some things in this that might have meant a little bit more, or maybe would have been funnier if I'd seen the others, or maybe not, who knows. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, please feel free to let me know. And the concept is inspired by something that I'd never heard of. This is the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, which is also known as the Cannonball Run, which is a car race from New York and Connecticut to LA, which, needless to say, is quite a distance. Now, I don't care for car racing, could not care less, but as a concept, that actually sounded quite interesting. And in general, there were times when I was, I'd say, a little emotionally invested in the narrative. I was really keen to find out what would happen. I guess I was rooting for certain characters, but I never cared too much. I was never overly passionate about it, but I was interested in it more than I thought I was going to be. The characters are generally well written. It's a very busy film. As one can imagine, there's a lot going on. It's a very quick film in terms of the pacing of the narrative. We're constantly moving forward. And in general, it's okay. There are times, as I say, when it slows down. Basically, the scenes that weren't specifically about the race, scenes where we're not in the cars, where we're getting to know characters away from that setting, it's not so much that those scenes don't serve a purpose. It's more so that I just wasn't that bothered about them. But the other aspects I thought were very well done. Peter Boyle plays a police chief who's trying to put a stop to this. His character was quite interesting. And in general, I came away from it feeling pretty satisfied. I didn't love every second of it, but in general, I thought it was an interesting concept, and ultimately, I thought it was not a bad experience. As I said, I hadn't seen the previous two films. I'm not going to rush to watch them, but if they ever come on my radar for any reason, then I might give them a go. And I absolutely didn't need to see them to follow this, but I am willing to admit that maybe there would be aspects of this film that would mean something more if I'd seen the others, but I don't think it would have affected my enjoyment too much because, well, as I said, there were bits that I really enjoyed. There were some bits I wasn't that bothered about, but I don't really think there's anything in it that's badly done. So, in general, not a bad experience. Speed Zone is a decent film. If it sounds like it would appeal to you, then obviously I'm very happy to recommend it. If, like me, you're not really sure it'll be a film for you, I'd say give it a go. You might enjoy it, and certainly, if it appeals, then it's one that I'm happy to recommend.